listening to your incredibly raspy, unpolished the bone. A harsh, abrasive frequency that chills me to the bone. The sound is highly reminiscent of heavily crushed rocks, a remarkably gruff communication that constantly shocks. Your pharynx has endured decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating barra despair. The syllables grind together like a rusty, unoiled gear. The most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear.
I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with a loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. The vocals are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born. Friction dominating every single spoken word, the most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard. Communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably rough auditory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feel. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. I order a dark coffee to soothe the terrible scraping ache, the only physical remedy that I am currently able to take. My vocal range is plummeted into the deepest sub-bass tier, instilling the surrounding patrons with a tiny bit of fear. The raspiness adds a highly dramatic, intimidating weight to every single opinion that I attempt to clearly state. A remarkably gruff phenomenon that I simply cannot fix, a highly deteriorated, incredibly rough bag of vocal tricks. There is a strange, highly unconventional charm to the croak, as if your entire existence is obscured by a heavy smoke. I listen to the remarkably textured sandpaper-like speech, a completely unrefined frequency that nobody can teach. The hoarseness conveys a highly authentic, lived-in pain, a remarkably unfiltered, entirely unpretentious vocal strain. You whisper a gruff compliment directly into my ear. The most incredibly rough, abrasive sentiment of the year. The vocals are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born. Friction dominating every single spoken word, the most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard. Communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably rough auditory grind, the most intimidating gruff frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feel. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. The friction, the gruffness,
of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating baritone despair. The syllables bind together like a rusty, unoiled gear, the most incredibly coarse serenade I will ever hear. I wake up every single morning with an incredibly dry throat, struggling to articulate even a single proper note. My larynx is severely damaged from yelling into the gale, a deeply hoarse presentation where the vocal cords fail. I clear my throat with the loud, incredibly abrasive cough, but the harsh scraping texture absolutely refuses to wear off. Speaking feels exactly like swallowing a handful of sand, a severely deteriorated instrument I can barely command. The vocal folds are incredibly frayed and totally torn, a highly textured sound that was painfully born, friction dominating every single spoken word, the most heavily abrasive articulation ever heard, communicating entirely with this gravel voice, leaving the listener with absolutely no choice. A highly textured, remarkably auditory grunt, the most intimidating grunt frequency you can find, sounding exactly like heavy boots upon the dirty street. A highly unpolished, incredibly raw acoustic feat. The vocal cords are permanently scarred and thick, making the atmospheric vibration feel incredibly sick. I order a dark coffee to soothe the terrible scraping ache, the only physical remedy that I am currently able to take. My vocal range is plummeted into the deepest sub-bass tier, instilling the surrounding patrons with a tiny bit of fear. The raspiness has a dramatic, intimidating weight to every single dating that constantly shocks. Your pharynx has enjoyed decades of incredibly rough wear, projecting a highly intimidating baritone despair. The syllables grind together like a rusty My brightly plumed feathers are intentionally, permanently clipped, ensuring that my potential for flight is entirely, securely stripped. I am surrounded by incredibly expensive, shiny little trinkets, but my geographical perimeter is completely defined by limits.
The enclosure is securely fastened with a heavy diamond padlock.
I stare miserably at the remarkably ornate ticking grandfather clock,
provided with gourmet
seeds upon a tiny, exquisite platinum platter. But my fundamental lack of liberty is the only thing that matters.
I polish the shiny vertical metallic bars until they perfectly gleam, maintaining this highly restrictive, completely luxurious dream. Observing the beautiful captive singing a remarkably sorrowful melody, a magnificent demonstration of highly expensive
tragic acoustic tragedy. I ensure the water dispenser is filled with remarkably pure artisan spring, listening to the incredibly sad notes that the lovely captive sings. The architecture of this prison is undeniably, phenomenally stunning,
but it prevents any sort of escaping
or highly desperate running. Surrounded by an absolute incredible amount of wealth, sacrifice, and my genuine psychological independent health, denied the basic fundamental right to soar the sky, watching incredibly silent, raging, ornately constructed, phenomenally expensive prison where the terrifying reality is finally painfully arisen. Singing beautiful songs of absolute luxurious captivity, robbed of every single ounce of natural free activity. The shiny bars provide a highly deceptive, glamorous trap, erased completely from the giant geographical map.
I hang a beautiful crystal mirror inside the lavish enclosure, maintaining a wealthy captive's highly photogenic composure. A remarkably selfish desire to possess such an exquisite creature, highlighting every single delicate, highly attractive feature. Purchase price was an astronomically high, ridiculous sum, ensuring that the desired freedom will absolutely never come. I drape a heavy velvet cloth over the top when it gets dark, denying the captive any glimpse of the sprawling public park. I gaze longingly through the incredibly expensive, intricate lattice work, where the highly depressing, deeply isolating feelings continuously lurk. I desire the terrifying, unpredictable freedom of the open atmosphere, instead of the highly controlled, ridiculously safe environment here. My vocalizations are praised by the wealthy, visiting aristocracy, but they fail to recognize this terrible, confining hypocrisy. I will gladly trade this magnificent, shiny aurum purge for a completely dangerous, highly unscripted, wild search, surrounded by an absolute, incredible amount of wealth, sacrificing my genuine psychological independent health, denied the basic fundamental right to soar the sky, watching the beautiful free spirals flutter quickly by, trapped inside this magnificent, heavily gilded cage, enduring a highly suppressed, incredibly silent rage, an ornately constructed, phenomenally expensive prison where the terrifying reality has finally painfully arisen. Singing beautiful songs of absolute luxurious captivity, robbed of every single ounce of natural free activity. The shiny bars provide a highly deceptive, glamorous trap, erased completely from the giant geographical map. Beautifully constructed, miserable ascendance. The shiny trap offers absolute safety, but removes the soul a devastatingly high, incredibly painful psychological toll. A turnkey, not free, shine a bar, look far, clipped wing must sing, trapped inside this magnificent, heavily gilded cage, enduring a highly suppressed, incredibly silent rage, an ornately constructed, phenomenally expensive prison where the terrifying reality is finally painfully arisen. Singing beautiful songs of absolute luxurious captivity, robbed of every single ounce of natural free activity. The shiny bars provide a highly deceptive, glamorous trap, erased completely from the giant geographical map. Lock the door, fly no more. Beautiful song, something wrong. Pursing my lips against the cold golden mouthpiece, hoping this subtle conversation will never cease. I
exhale a delicately measured, remarkably gentle sigh, allowing the cylindrical tubing to softly multiply.
The frequency of my incredibly
Intimate, unspoken thought, a covert auditory exchange that cannot be easily caught. The metallic alloy warms up from the friction of my breath, playing a beautifully hushed serenade right unto death.
Finger in the slick, lubricated valves with extreme precision, executing a highly calculated, incredibly quiet musical decision. I compress the airflow into a remarkably subtle low hum, waiting patiently for the gentle acoustic hum. The bell of the horn is entirely obstructed by a heavy mute, transforming the loud blare into something wonderfully astute. A secretive dialogue bypassing the human vocal cords, earning the most prestigious underground auditory awards. Keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained, a highly delicate melody that must be maintained, speaking through the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchanging these highly secretive brass whispers, covered language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe, a deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this jive, a purely instrumental discussion just like that. I adjust the tune and slide by a mere millimeter, making the harmonic resonance incredibly sweeter. The saliva accumulates slowly inside the water key, the physical reality of this beautiful acoustic decree.
My diaphragm controls the incredibly slow release of air, a highly disciplined technique executed with utmost care. We trade 4-bar phrases in a highly conversational style, maintaining this sultry muted interaction for a while.
The vibrato shakes
Gently at the very end of the note, a beautiful sentiment that nobody ever officially wrote.
I cup my left hand directly over the flared opening, controlling exactly how the metallic vibrations are ringing. A highly localized, incredibly private musical debate, occurring remarkably late upon this specific date. The trumpet effectively replaces the need for my tongue, the softest, most delicate jazz standard ever sung, keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained, a highly delicate melody that must be maintained, speaking through the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchanging these highly secretive brass whispers, a covered language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe, a deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat, a purely instrumental discussion just like that. Just like that. The alloy vibrates with a remarkably soft, a beautiful demonstration of acoustic density. Let the metal communicate what the heart feels, a deeply resonant truth that the horn reveals. Breathe slow, keep it low, press the valve, let it out.
this chat, a purely instrumental discussion, just like that. Empty the long song you sung, put it away, end of play. Pushing my lips against the cold golden mouthpiece, hoping the subtle conversation will never cease. I exhale a delicately measured, remarkably gentle sigh, allowing the cylindrical tubing to softly multiply. The frequency of my incredibly intimate, unspoken thoughts, a covert auditory exchange that cannot be easily caught. The metallic alloy warms up from the friction of my breath, playing a beautifully hushed serenade right unto death.
Fingering the slick, lubricated valves with extreme precision, executing a highly calculated, incredibly quiet musical decision. I compress the airflow into a remarkably subtle low hum,
Waiting patiently for the gentle acoustic response.
The bell of the horn is entirely obstructed by a heavy mute, transforming the loud blare into something wonderfully astute. A secretive dial-up bypassing the human vocal cords, earning the most prestigious underground auditory awards. Keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained, a highly delicate melody that must be maintained. Speaking through the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchange in these highly secretive brass whispers, a covert language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe. It deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat, a purely instrumental discussion, just like that. I adjust the tune and slide by a mere millimeter, making the harmonic resonance incredibly sweeter. The saliva accumulates slowly inside the water key, the physical reality of this beautiful acoustic decree. My diaphragm controls the incredibly slow release of air, a highly disciplined technique executed with utmost care. We trade four-bar phrases in a highly conversational style, maintaining this sultry muted interaction for a while. The vibrato shakes gently at the very end of the note, a beautiful sentiment that nobody ever officially wrote. I cut my left hand directly over the flared opening, controlling exactly how the metallic vibrations are ringing. A highly localized, incredibly private musical debate, occurring remarkably late upon this specific date. The trumpet effectively replaces the need for my tongue, the softest, most delicate jazz standard ever sung. Keeping the dynamic volume incredibly restrained, a highly delicate melody that must be maintained. Speaking through the shiny metallic plumbing, listening to the remarkably soft exchange in this highly secretive
brass whispers, a covert language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe. A deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat. A purely instrumental discussion, just like that. Just like that. The alloy vibrates with a remarkably sound, a beautiful demonstration. Let the metal communicate what the heart feels, a deeply resonant truth that the horn reveals. Breathe slow, keep it low, press the valve, let it out, softest tone. All alone, exchanging these highly secretive brass whispers, a covert language between two musical drifters. The golden horn murmurs a remarkably quiet phrase, navigating through this intimate auditory maze, blowing softly into the intricately coiled pipe. A deeply seductive, sophisticated musical type. No actual syllables are required for this chat. A purely instrumental discussion, just like that. And to the lone song is sung, put it away in the play. From the heavily plastered underground speakeasy ceiling, the massive lighting fixture, a highly dizzying feeling, pushed by the aggressive vibrations of the heavy band, creating a sweeping trajectory that I can barely understand. The illumination oscillates across the crowded, smoky floor, pushing the patches of darkness directly toward the heavy door. A metronomic sway that hypnotizes the entire gathered crowd, while the brass instruments play incredibly, overwhelmingly loud.
I observe the heavy brass pendulum executing its massive arc, plunging half of the room into a sudden temporary dark. The rhythmic oscillation perfectly matches the drummer's steady pace, sweeping back and forth across this underground secretive space. The chains creak loudly under the immense swinging gravitational weight, a mesmerizing physics experiment happening incredibly late. The trajectory is predictable but highly visually entrancing, providing the perfect strobing illumination for our romantic romancing. Back and forth the heavy fixture continuously flies, tricking our intoxicated, highly weary eyes. The syncopated movement dictates the shifting mood, a deeply hypnotic, constantly swinging attitude, caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows. The alternating flashes
secretive hidden club, a kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing.
The kinetic energy is transferred directly into the musical groove, dictating exactly how the intoxicated patrons are allowed to move. I dodge the sweeping projection of the heavy iron frame, participating actively in this highly visual optical game. The velocity reaches its maximum directly at the lowest point, a fascinating mechanical feature of this illegal basement joint. The momentum carries the structure upward to the opposing peak, a highly dynamic environment where the visual contrasts speak. The alternating brightness causes a heavy psychological trance, a highly unpredictable, constantly shifting, illuminated dance. I track the physical arc with my completely mesmerized stare, watching the heavy brass slice through the thick cigar-filled air. The gravitational pull forces the object perfectly back into line, a remarkably consistent, mathematically flawless physical design. We are entirely subjected to the whims of the swinging light, the most dynamic, visually chaotic element of this Friday night. Back and forth the heavy fixture continuously flies, tricking our intoxicated, highly weary eyes. Syncopated movement dictates the shifting mood, a deeply hypnotic, constantly swinging attitude. Caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows, the alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club, a kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. Rotating thing. The pivot point squeaks with the highly rhythm, casting the shifting silhouettes completely onto the ground. Do not lose your balance in the alternating dark. Follow the glowing trajectory of the electrical spark. Swing left, swing right, darkness fall, then the light. Watch you move, feel the groove. Caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows, the alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club, a kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. Momentum slows, the shadow grows, fixture stops, the music drops. Canvas, mainsail up the wooden mast, preparing the enormous vessel for a journey incredibly vast. The pelagic winds fill the fabric with a highly powerful gust,
leaving the safe harbor in a cloud of maritime salty dust.
I stand confidently upon the starboard
side of the deck, searching the endless blue horizon for a sunken pirate wreck. The albatross glides beautifully alongside our wooden hull, a highly spectacular nautical voyage that is never dull.
Hey! Gripping the giant steering wheel with my calloused hands, navigating the coordinates toward undiscovered foreign lands. The compass points directly toward a highly treacherous reef, but the crew maintains a remarkably steadfast, brave belief. I adjust the rigging and carefully secure the thick rope, sailing forward with an enormous amount of adventurous hope. The maritime charts predict a highly favorable strong gale, providing the perfect momentum for this legendary tale.
Riding the crest of a gigantic rolling swell, ringing the polished brass navigational bell. The buoyancy keeps the heavy galleon afloat, singing a lively shanty upon this mighty boat. Dancing the highly energetic ocean skank, walking barefoot upon the wooden plank, a bouncing nautical rhythm on the open sea, the absolute pinnacle of maritime liberty. Swinging joyfully with the pelagic motion, celebrating the vastness of the mighty ocean, a remarkably festive aquatic celebration, the greatest voyage in the entire nation.
The barnacles cling stubbornly to the submerged underbelly, while the chef prepares a highly traditional maritime jelly. I drop the massive iron anchor into the turquoise deep, allowing the exhausted, hard-working sailors to finally sleep. The dolphins breach spectacularly across the starboard bow, a majestic aquatic performance happening right here and now. We swap the wooden deck until the timber perfectly gleams, fulfilling our wildest, most adventurous seafaring dream.
Climbing the rope ladder entirely up to the tall crow's nest, putting my acrobatic maritime abilities to the ultimate test. I peer through the brass telescope to scout the distant shore, discovering a magnificent island entirely unexplored before. The salty spray constantly splashes against my smiling face, navigating the galleon into this beautifully secluded space. We secure the heavy moorings to the wooden harbor dock, arriving perfectly on time according to the captain's clock. Riding the crest of a gigantic rolling swell, ringing the polished brass navigational bell. The buoyancy keeps the heavy galleon afloat, singing a lively shanty upon this mighty boat. Dancing the highly energetic ocean skank, walking barefoot upon the wooden plank, a bouncing nautical rhythm on the open sea, the absolute pinnacle of maritime liberty. Swinging joyfully with the pelagic motion, celebrating the vastness of the mighty ocean, a remarkably festive aquatic celebration, the greatest voyage in the entire nation. When the weather turns, navigate the vessel wherever the lantern burns. The aquatic journey provides an absolute thrill, riding the aquatic roller coaster with incredible skill. Pull the line, weather good, feeling fine, set the sail, catch the gale. Dancing the highly energetic ocean skank, walking barefoot upon the wooden plank, a bouncy nautical rhythm on the open sea, the absolute pinnacle of maritime liberty. Swinging joyfully with the pelagic motion, celebrating the vastness of the mighty ocean, a remarkably festive aquatic celebration, the greatest voyage in the entire nation. Drop anchor, empty tanker, journey ends with my friends. plastered underground speakeasy ceiling. The massive lighting fixture, a highly dizzying feeling.
Pushed by the aggressive vibrations of the heavy band, creating a sweeping trajectory that I can barely understand. The illumination oscillates across the crowded smoky floor, pushing the patches of darkness directly toward the heavy door. A metronomic sway that hypnotizes the entire gathered crowd, while the brass instruments play incredibly, overwhelmingly loud.
I observe the heavy brass pendulum executing its massive arc, plunging half of the room into a sudden temporary dark. The rhythmic oscillation perfectly matches the drummer's steady pace, sweeping back and forth across this underground secretive space. The chains creak loudly under the immense swinging gravitational weight. A mesmerizing physics experiment happening incredibly late. The trajectory is predictable but highly visually entrancing, providing the perfect strobing illumination for our romantic romancing. Back and forth the heavy fixture continuously flies, tricking our intoxicated, highly weary eyes. The syncopated movement dictates the shifting mood, a deeply hypnotic, constantly swinging attitude. Caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows, the alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club. A kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. The kinetic energy is transferred directly into the musical groove, dictating exactly how the intoxicated patrons are allowed to move. I dodge the sweeping projection of the heavy iron frame, participating actively in this highly visual optical game. The velocity reaches its maximum directly at the lowest point, a fascinating mechanical feature of this illegal basement joint. The momentum carries the structure upward to the opposing peak, a highly dynamic environment where the visual contrasts speak.
The alternating brightness causes a heavy psychological trance, a highly unpredictable, constantly shifting, illuminated dance. I track the physical arc with my completely mesmerized stare, watching the heavy brass slice through the thick cigar-filled air. The gravitational pull forces the object perfectly back into line, a remarkably consistent, mathematically flawless physical design. We are entirely subjected to the whims of the swinging light, the most dynamic, visually chaotic elements of this Friday night. Back and forth the heavy fixture continuously flies, tricking our intoxicated, highly weary eyes. The syncopated movement dictates the shifting mood, a deeply hypnotic, constantly swinging attitude. Caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows, the alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club. A kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. Ground. Do not lose your balance in the alternating dark. Follow the glowing trajectory of the electrical spark. Swing left, swing right, darkness falls, then the light, watch it move. Feel the groove caught beneath these massive swinging shadows, where the underground illicit river flows, the alternating flashes of the bright bulb illuminating this highly secretive hidden club. A kinetic aerial display of rhythmic grace, constantly altering the geometry of the space. The pendulum dictates the heavy musical swing, a profoundly mesmerizing, rotating thing. Momentum slows, the shadow grows, sliding my calloused fingertips across the rosewood neck, keeping the heavy emotional musical tempo perfectly in check. I press the nickel wire deeply into the wooden fingerboard, creating a highly melancholy, undeniably tragic minor chord.
The heavy gauge strings provide a remarkable amount of tension,
accessing an entirely different, incredibly sorrowful dimension. My left hand trembles to produce the necessary thick vibrato, delivering this highly expressive musical manifesto.
I push the metallic string aggressively across the steel fret, the most highly emotional physical performance I have given yet. The note bends upwards, stretching the pitch into a terrible cry, a magnificent acoustic representation of a tearful, sad goodbye. The truss rod groans slightly under the immense
Pulling weight,
a physical
reaction to this highly depressive musical state.
The magnetic pickups
Capture every single microscopic vibration, translating the physical effort into an auditory revelation. The amplifier translates the incredibly heavy grief, offering absolutely zero auditory joyful relief. The sustained pedal stretches the note into infinity, a remarkably tragic, highly emotional sonic trinity. Listening to these beautifully weeping frets, broadcasting our deepest untold regrets. The guitarist bends a string until it heavily screams, tearing apart the fabric of our musical dreams. A remarkable display of highly expressive string sorrow, leaving absolutely no hope for a joyful tomorrow. The fingerboard absorbs the incredibly salty musical tears, a phenomenal technique perfected over many years.
I apply the heavy brass bottleneck to my little finger, allowing the incredibly sorrowful sliding notes to heavily linger.
The glass glides smoothly over the parallel metal bars, broadcasting my incredible sadness directly up to the stars. The harmonic overtones scream with a highly piercing wail, a beautiful instrumental, undeniably tragic fairy tale. I pluck the D string with an incredibly heavy, aggressive pick, executing a phenomenally complex, emotionally devastating trick. The calluses on my digits are heavily bruised and deeply worn, the physical consequence of playing music so incredibly forlorn. The amplifier tubes burn with a remarkably hot orange heat, while I manipulate the melody right above the reggae beat. The intonation is purposely adjusted to sound slightly sharp, creating a highly dissonant, deeply painful metallic harp. We force the instrument to vocalize our unspoken pain, a highly emotional, undeniably heavy musical rain. The amplifier translates the incredibly heavy grief, offering absolutely zero auditory joyful relief. The sustained pedal stretches the note into infinity, a remarkably tragic, highly emotional sonic trinity. Listening to these beautifully weeping frets, broadcasting our a phenomenal technique perfected over many years. Do not release the tension until the note completely dies. A magnificent translation of our heavy internal sighs. Let the rosewood fingerboard absorb the awful ache. A remarkably beautiful musical sacrifice we make. Push high, hold steady, hear it cry, release down, saddest sound. Listening to these beautifully weeping frets, broadcasting our deepest untold regrets. The guitarist bends the string until it heavily screams, tearing apart the fabric of our musical dreams. A remarkable display of highly expressed strange sorrow, leaving absolutely no hope for a joyful tomorrow. The fingerboard absorbs the incredibly salty musical tears. A phenomenal technique perfected over many years. Unplug the cord, silence the board. Neck is warm, music is born. Sliding my calloused fingertips across the rosewood neck, keeping the heavy, emotional, musical tempo perfectly in check. I press the nickel wire deeply into the wooden fingerboard, creating a highly melancholy, undeniably tragic minor chord. The heavy gauge strings provide a remarkable amount of tension. Sitting behind a massive 72-channel mixing board, manipulating the frequencies of a highly distorted. I turn the rotary knobs to adjust the equalization, creating a highly deceptive auditory hallucination. The faders slide upwards to introduce the phantom track, a splice section of tape that we are playing completely back. I push the parameter of the reverb unit to the extreme, constructing an entirely artificial sonic dream.
I patch the cables directly into the analog synthesizer, acting as the ultimate deceptive studio
supervisor.
The snare drum is processed through a heavy phase
shifter, transforming the percussion into a psychedelic drifter.
We alter the pitch to create a highly disorienting effect,
a sonic landscape that the listener would never expect.
I mute the vocal channel to highlight the heavy bass line,
the manipulative trick of our incredibly clever design. Tweaking the dials on the processing rack, there is no authentic original track. Splicing the magnetic ribbon with a blade, listening to the artificial world we made. Trapped inside these dub delusions, creating massive auditory confusions. The studio acts as a magical machine, projecting a reality entirely unseen. Tricking the eardrums with a clever delay, washing the authentic recordings away. A phantom orchestra performing in the room, constructed entirely from the mixing broom.
The oscillation frequency rapidly begins to multiply, a highly synthetic trick that we proudly apply. Our reverb First the cymbal crash to simulate a backward fall, bouncing the artificial sound waves off a non-existent wall. The engineering booth is filled with tangled black wires, fueling these incredibly deceptive auditory fires. We compress the dynamic range until the signal is flat, a highly technical achievement that we marvel at. The master tape degrades slightly with every single pass, creating a sound as fragile as spun fiberglass. I isolate the hi-hat and bathe it in a chorus pedal, treating the audio signal like a malleable liquid metal. We manufacture a space that defies all physical laws, adding intentional distortion to cover up the flaws. The final mixdown is a masterpiece of total deception, of profoundly manipulative synthetic reception. Tweaking the dials on the processing rack, there is no authentic original track. Splicing the magnetic ribbon with a blade, listening to the artificial world we made, trapped inside these dub delusions, creating massive auditory confusions. The studio acts as a magical machine, projecting a reality entirely unseen, tricking the eardrums with a clever delay, washing the authentic recordings away. A phantom orchestra performing in the room, constructed entirely from the mixing broom. From the mixing broom. Do not trust the sounds that you currently hear. The reality of this recording is nowhere near a phantom projection from the stereo speakers. We are the ultimate auditory seekers. Mute track, bring it back. Add delay, fade away. Pan left, audio theft. Trapped inside these dub delusions, creating massive auditory confusion. Studio acts as a magical machine, projecting a reality entirely unseen, tricking the eardrums with a clever delay, washing the authentic recordings away. Phantom orchestra performing in the room, constructed entirely from the mixing broom. Cut the tape, false escape, power down, leave the sound. Entering the lavishly decorated, incredibly opulent parlor, escaping entirely from the drab, monochromatic outdoor squalor. The heavy drapery blocking the windows is a deep burgundy, creating an atmosphere of highly exclusive aesthetic urgency. I sink deeply into the incredibly plush, tufted upholstery, surrounded by an astonishing collection of scarlet tapestry. The illumination is provided by a rosy, flattering chandelier, making every single patron look undeniably magnificent here. My shoes sink entirely into the remarkably thick ruby carpet, the most extravagantly designed interior on the entire market. A waitress balances a silver tray of brightly colored grenadine, the most highly saturated visual environment I have ever seen. I slide perfectly into the incredible
comfortably private circular leather booth,
embracing this highly manufactured,
deeply colorful truth.
The wallpaper features a velvety dark
Cherry damask pattern,
a profoundly luxurious sanctuary comparable
to the rings of Saturn.
Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue,
a completely flushed, magnificent view,
basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow,
the most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know.
relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge.
Everything is painted a spectacular blood red,
a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead,
a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway,
where the glamorous residents
permanently stay,
drowning in the majestic regal
scarlet pigments, a beautifully crafted interior design figment.
The mahogany tables were polished to a highly reflective shine, while the patrons heavily consumed their expensive vintage wine. I observed the incredibly rich ruby-tinted stained glass, watching the beautifully dressed, sophisticated clientele pass.
The ambient temperature is remarkably warm and inviting,
perfectly complementing the deeply
atmospheric ruby lighting.
A monochromatic masterpiece of absolute interior luxury,
a phenomenally expensive, highly curated sanctuary. My fingernails perfectly match the velvet cushions of the chair, a highly coordinated, deeply meticulous aesthetic affair. The bartender wipes the counter with a scarlet-colored rag, while a patron retrieves a lipstick from her expensive bag. We are utterly enveloped by this warm, undeniably rich tone,
feeling like royalty sitting
directly upon a comfortable throne. The aesthetic consistency is remarkably strict and severe.
Absolutely no contrasting colors are ever permitted here.
Immersed entirely in this cardinal hue,
a completely flushed, magnificent view,
basking in the profoundly rosy ambient glow, the most extravagant aesthetic we will ever know. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red,
a highly luxurious
canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway,
where the glamorous residents
permanently stay,
drowning in the majestic regal
scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted
interior design figment.
Close a heavy doors to the mundane gray street. This highly colorful immersion is wonderfully complete. Surrender to the profoundly plush, saturated environment, the ultimate aesthetic form of luxurious retirement. Red velvet, deep sink, ruby glass, fancy drink, scarlet glow, moving slow. Relaxing inside this magnificent crimson lounge, where the wealthy socialites consistently scrounge. Everything is painted a spectacular blood red, a highly luxurious canopy suspended overhead, a deeply saturated, incredibly opulent hideaway,
where the glamorous residents
permanently stay, drowning in the majestic regal scarlet pigment, a beautifully crafted interior design figment. Lights dim down, rich side of town, stay inside, nowhere to hide. and opened the tiny circular silver compact mirror, trying to see my current cosmetic situation a little clearer. The vibrant carmine pigment has noticeably begun to wane, leaving an uneven, highly unattractive, waxy stain. I dab my mouth with a remarkably thin textured tissue, attempting to resolve this highly frustrating vanity issue. The glamorous crimson outline is severely blurred and messy, making my facial presentation look incredibly unimpressive.
I noticed the rosy smudge transferred directly onto my collar, a highly persistent residue that no amount of soap will alter. The waxy substance clings stubbornly to the woven fabric, a visible consequence of an interaction that was highly tragic. The glossy finish you applied earlier has entirely disappeared, exactly as my highly observant, cynical-minded feared. The cosmetic layer failed to withstand the evening's friction, exposing the underlying truth beneath the glamorous fiction. The rouge loses its highly saturated initial brightness, replaced by an overwhelming, remarkably dull whiteness. Wiping the color grease directly off the weary pout, the artificial confidence has completely run out. Wearing this remarkably faded lipstick, a highly deceptive superficial cosmetic trick. The vibrant pigment heavily diminishes and cracks, revealing exactly what our artificial presentation lacks. A smudged reminder of a highly glamorous facade, an aesthetic disguise that was fundamentally flawed. The waxy layer peels away from the sensitive skin, allowing the remarkably unpolished reality to begin. The matte foundation begins to heavily flake and separate as the late night hours continue to drastically escalate. I hand you a moistened towelette to cleanse your cheek. Your cosmetic barrier is looking incredibly, terribly weak. The rosy tint is heavily compromised by the perspiration, a highly unflattering, physically messy manifestation. You reapply the coloring, but the contour line is crooked, the most unkempt and disheveled that you have ever looked.
I twist the plastic tube to elevate the colored wax cylinder, feeling like a highly exhausted, unglamorous pretender. The shade is significantly lighter than the original application, a deeply disappointing, highly frustrating visual revelation.
My lip liner is entirely erased from the outer boundary. I am trapped completely inside the superficial laundry. The glamorous aesthetic has been entirely compromised, exactly as the harsh bathroom fluorescent lights surmise. The rouge loses its highly saturated initial brightness, replaced by an overwhelming, remarkably dull whiteness. Wiping the color grease directly off the weary pout, the artificial confidence has completely run out. Oh, wearing this remarkably faded lipstick, a highly deceptive superficial cosmetic trick. The vibrant pigment heavily diminishes and cracks, revealing exactly what the artificial presentation lacks. A smudge reminder of a highly glamorous facade, an aesthetic disguise that was fundamentally flawed. The waxy layer peels away from the sensitive skin, allowing the remarkably unpolished reality to begin. To begin. Scrub the remaining pigment entirely away, accept the unvarnished reality of the day.
The artificial coloring provides zero protection, just a highly superficial, waxy deflection. Twist up, apply gloss, smear down, total loss, wipe clean, face seen. Wearing this remarkably faded lipstick, a highly deceptive superficial cosmetic trick. The vibrant pigment heavily diminishes and cracks, revealing exactly what the artificial presentation lacks. A smart reminder of a highly glamorous facade. An aesthetic disguise was fundamentally flawed. The waxy layer peels away from the sensitive skin, allowing the remarkably unpolished reality to begin. Close the case, wash the face, color gone. Moving on. Sitting behind the massive 72-channel mixing board, manipulating the frequencies of a highly distorted. I turn the rotary knobs to adjust the equalization, creating a highly deceptive auditory hallucination. The faders slide upwards to introduce the phantom track, a splice section of tape that we are playing completely back. I push the parameter of the reverb unit to the extreme, constructing an entirely artificial sonic dream.
I patch the cables directly into the analog synthesizer, acting as the ultimate deceptive studio supervisor. The snare drum is processed through a heavy phase shifter, transforming the percussion into a psychedelic drifter. We alter the pitch to create a highly disorienting effect, a sonic landscape that the listener would never expect. I mute the vocal channel to highlight the heavy bass line. A manipulative trick of our incredibly clever design. Tweaking the dials on the processing rack, there is no authentic original track. Splicing the magnetic ribbon with a blade, listening to the artificial world we made. Trapped inside these dub illusions, creating massive auditory confusions. The studio acts as a magical machine, projecting a reality entirely unseen, tricking the eardrums with a clever delay, washing the authentic recordings away. A phantom orchestra performing in the room, constructed entirely from the mixing broom. The oscillation frequency rapidly begins to multiply, a highly synthetic trick that we proudly apply. I reverse the cymbal, crash the simulator, backward fall, bouncing the artificial sound waves off a non-existent wall.
The engineering booth is filled with tangled black wires, fueling these incredibly deceptive auditory fires. We compress the dynamic range until the signal is flat, a highly technical achievement that we marvel at.
The master tape degrades slightly with every single pass,
creating a sound as fragile as spun fiberglass. I isolate the hi-hat and bathe it in a chorus pedal, treating the audio signal like a malleable liquid metal. We manufacture a space that defies all physical laws, adding intentional distortion to cover up the flaws. The final mix down is a masterpiece of total deception, a profoundly manipulative synthetic reception. Tweaking the dials on the processing rack, There is no authentic original track.
Splicing the magnetic ribbon with a blade, listening to the artificial world we made.
Trapped inside these dub delusions,
Creating massive auditory confusions.
the studio acts as a magical machine,
Projecting a reality entirely unseen. Tricking the eardrums with a clever delay, washing the authentic recordings away.
a phantom orchestra performing in the room,
Constructed entirely from the mixing room. Do not trust the sounds that you currently hear. The reality of this recording is nowhere near.
a phantom projection from the stereo speakers. We are the ultimate auditory seekers.
You track, bring it back, add delay, fade away, pan left, audio theft. Trapped inside these dub delusions, creating massive auditory confusions.
The studio acts as a magical machine,
Projecting a reality entirely unseen. Tricking the eardrums with a clever delay, washing the authentic recordings away.
a phantom orchestra performing in the room,
Constructed entirely from the mixing room.
cut the tape, false escape, power down, leave the sound.